Hello, hello. I'm Lori Alvarez, and I welcome you to Real Estate with Soul, the podcast. This is where I share my story, knowledge, wisdom, and our legacy in real estate together as a family, all boldly wrapped up in one. So let's get started. So let's talk today about what's going on in the current real estate market and the way things are happening these days. What is actually happening here in the hyper-local foothills communities for us, specifically San Gabriel Valley, right? What we're seeing these days is that it's taking a much longer time to go ahead and move to a close of escrow. Whereas we could close a transaction in 15 days or less, right now things are taking 30, 45, 60 days, and they're a lot more challenging. There's a lot more to happen with regards to a transaction purchase. Buyers aren't just simply saying, oh my gosh, here is all my money, let me move forward to close. Now they're saying, wow, look at that payment. What do we do about it? How can we move forward with this? Because they still want a home. There is still a demand for homes. And that is what is allowing the market to slowly move forward. The biggest challenge that we have is that sellers are just not comfortable with putting their houses on the market because they don't potentially have another home to go to. There's not enough inventory on the market. I'll put that in relevance for you. In 2011, San Dimas had 110 or 111 total homes for sale on the market, whereas in 2023, today, total inventory is 24 properties, as opposed to 111. So there's 24 homes for sale today. That includes condos, townhouses, and single-family residences. Total inventory, that's all we have today. So to say that the market is going to crash is pretty irrelevant at this time unless it's subject to some other economical crisis that could potentially happen out there. The interesting things about what's happening with the real estate market today as well is with pricing still as high as it is, even though it has depreciated over the last year since the market has shifted. And we saw a real shift for our market in, I would like to say, October, November, and December, January. We saw the market, January of 2023, this year, we saw the market really shift and change and just come to almost a halt. It seemed like everyone was like, uh-oh, what's happening? And it became very quiet and then slowly moved forward. But we're still experiencing that demand for real estate. We're still having that need for homes. And who's buying today? Well, young families are trying to get started. Their challenge is that their monthly payment is so high due to the cost of the purchase price being layered with the amount of the interest rate. Interest rates are falling between 6 and 7% right now continuously and adjusting, quite frankly, a lot. So we're seeing very high pricing along with high payments. Now, on the interesting other side of that, we're seeing rental properties pricing's tending to come down slightly, and that market is showing a decrease right now as well, which seasonally would be pretty relevant going into the fall season where we are this month, where it's July. So we're almost into the fall market, and it is definitely a change for the market. Now, I can say personally my experience back in 2008 when I came into this business. I started 2007, 2008, when our short sale and our foreclosure market started and the big crash, as they called it, happened. And I can tell you right now that was the most depressing time of my career personally, because it was just one family after another having a really hard financial time. people losing their jobs, people losing their homes, people just losing their security, their place, their well-being, their safe space. All of that had come to a stop, and everyone was now having to shift to find a new home. And from 2008 to 2011 was really when the market did a turnaround. All of a sudden, pricing hit rock bottom and then turned around and started making its way back up. And we've been on the up cycle ever since. So it's been a very interesting real estate market for me personally, with my experience for the last 17 to 18 years, just because I've never known an easy real estate market. Right now, every sell that I have is challenging. When you're a seller, it's never exciting. It's never like, oh, let's celebrate. It's, oh my goodness, my home, my safe space is being shuffled and lifted up, and my whole world is changing. And that's what we're seeing quite a bit of right now. The only people who are truly selling right now are distressed families who are going through a divorce, unfortunately, or families who've had a death in the family, or they have difficult living circumstances or a loss of job. There's a few that are excited and they're moving up, but that's very far in between because it just doesn't make financial sense. I love what one of my lenders had mentioned to me. He said, a house right now is like golden handcuffs. Your interest rate potentially is 2.5%, 3%, and you're in a great place financially, and potentially you need more space or you don't, but you just don't want to move, because if you move, your interest rate, unless you're paying cash, your interest rate is going to jump up 4 points. Your housing expense is going to jump up quite a bit. And so it becomes very challenging for people to be able to shift as necessary and make a wise financial decision for themselves. We're seeing that over and over and over again in this cycle. I spoke with a family earlier, and he would like to move up to a little larger home and transfer his property taxes with him. But in that, the property is very expensive. And he will be able to transfer his property taxes. Hopefully, he needs to confirm with his CPA. But the financial situation isn't really going to be an improvement because his interest rate is going to be at 6 to 6.5% right now. And so when we think about interest rates and we talk about interest rates, we go, okay, well, interest rates, is that really high? It wasn't high when I bought my first house. I bought my first house at 6. I think my first interest rate was 6.25. And that wasn't super high to me at that time. But also that house I bought was only $169,000, where that same house today, if it were put on the market, would be $600,000 to actually $700,000 for that same exact house. And then add a 7% interest rate on that, and you've got yourself one hefty payment, and definitely demanding a larger down payment for all buyers right now. So the economy is definitely not improving right now with these rate changes and these dramatic increases over the last year. We're not seeing any improvement on anything except with regards to slowing everything down, which I think ultimately, in my opinion, is the goal. Slow down the real estate market, slow down the rise of inflation in homes, because that definitely has come to a slowdown as well. They're still slightly on the rise, and properties are still selling for for slightly over their list price or right at list price is what we're seeing, depending on the price point. Anything that's like $1 million takes a little longer to sell. Anything between 400 and 600 is selling pretty rapidly and does have a few offers on it and is potentially selling for a couple bucks over the list price. But on the other end of that, it's a lot of seller credits to buyers to help to control their housing payments with a buyback for interest rate buy downs. So with regards to the market, it's really a very interesting real estate market altogether. We're definitely seeing pricing now is much higher than it was in 2008. As we know, I just compared the house that I bought way back in the day was $169,000, and today it was $600,000, $700,000. Just depends on what comes on the market at this time. So overall, anyone that's buying right now likely is going to have a pretty high down payment. A couple of things that the government is implemented that went really well and really quickly was this new down payment assistance program. They offered literally the Dream House program, I believe is what they called it. That money was literally ran through in about a week. And it really, what I thought was potentially not fair, right? Not that we have a fair world, but it was very challenging because the majority of buyers who were already like excited and wanted to take advantage of that program and move that forward didn't even get the opportunity because there were so many buyers that were already under contract that just shifted their loan right into that loan program. And so they claimed that money. And so all the new buyers that had gotten pre-approved were left on the back burner with no opportunity to take advantage of that. We are seeing more and more grants being available now with regards to this opportunity right now in the market. First Citizens Bank is offering a $30,000 grant. I've talked with a few other lenders that are allowing a lot of grants to move forward as well, which is very, very helpful with buyers because really it takes more than 3.5% down to purchase a property these days. It takes a little bit more money just to get a payment to be affordable in the San Gabriel Valley. Otherwise, we have lots of people who are just moving further and further and further away, and still like the sticker shock out in the high desert and the Inland Empire. It's still very, very high. So I don't see a quick recovery on this at all. What I do see is buyers adjusting, the market slowing down quite a bit, and sellers spending more days on market because we just need more buyers to purchase these properties. And the reality is we need more homes on the market as well, because with that, we get buyers, we get sellers, and we just don't have enough of either one of them. So it does make for a very challenging real estate market right now in this new economy we have. With regards to what else do we have on this? Investors in this market right now, investors are seeing higher, if they're financing, they're seeing higher percentage rates with regards interest rates with regards to their purchases too. They're looking at an 8 and 7.5% interest rate, just depends on the day. And they're having to bring a lot of cash to table to make it to have the property properly cash flow. Because remember, on the other side of that, I mentioned that rents and the demand for rents is slowly going down. And so rents are being pushed down due to this, which I think is going to have an interesting impact on the purchase economy, because if mortgage payments are really high, what do people do? They're going to move to renting, and then the rental market will have a demand as well. We just don't have enough houses in general available, even with rental properties and so forth. There just isn't enough opportunity out there for sellers, investors, and buyers. We all want to make this economy move quickly and be a healthy economy. And unfortunately, we're seeing that it's become very sluggish, and we are definitely slowing down as things are moving forward, and just not enough inventory. So that's my current perspective of what's happening with today's real estate market. And when I reflect back on 2008, 2009, and 2010, it was a very dark, dismal market. It was a sad time in my business, not because of my personal financial situation, but seeing all of these families having all of these losses and being displaced was heartbreaking to me. I mean, I even personally in 2010 saw my equity in my property drop below what I owed on my property. I was in a very grateful position because I was able to withstand the change in the economy. And so what I look at today, and as I counsel families today, I think about where the market could potentially go, because I am seeing short sales slowly coming on the market. I'm personally negotiating one myself right now, and I am seeing more foreclosures showing up here and there. And it's only because families are having financial problems at home or personal situations that are pushing them to either go into a foreclosure or a short sale. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years for us here in the real estate world. And I'm going to learn a whole new market, which to be honest, I love new challenges and new changes. I just want to see success for everyone that's decided to jump into the real estate market. And everyone asks me, hey, Lori, would you invest in the real estate market right now? As long as the numbers make sense for me, you better believe I would make that investment. It all comes down to the numbers, and if I can positive cash flow something, or I can create a home that makes great sense. That's what determines whether or not I jump into the market. And so if you want to know more about whether or not you should, let's look at your numbers. Let's look at your personal situation and see, does it all make sense? And if it does, well then, home starts with you.